This is the newly revised Residential Listing Agreement, C.A.R. Form R.L.A. revised 1225. This is the version of the listing agreement we're using going into 2026. I will walk you through this form step by step and show you how to easily and quickly fill this out, and I'll also show you what has changed on this form in this new revision. This bundle is 21 pages. Can you believe that? We'll start at the very top here. We'll go through it quickly. Disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship, 2-page form. You just put your seller's name. You check this box. Shame on me for not checking it. You write in the seller's name, your brokerage, your name, both you and the seller sign, and there's nothing to do on page 2. And here we are at the actual listing agreement. We start by putting the date that we draft the form here, name of the seller, name of the brokerage, the property address that we're listing, and the assessor's parcel number. Essentially the tax ID for real estate. You can find it on an old MLS listing. You can find it on Realist or some sort of tax data site. You can find it on a property tax bill from the owner or the county tax assessor's website. And if you really can't find it, just leave it blank and move on. Listing period. Make sure you have a beginning and ending date. If you leave one or both of those dates blank, this form could be null and void. And make sure that this period, this beginning and ending period, do not exceed 24 months. Not that you'd want a 24-month listing, but we just need to put this out there since it's the law. Listing price. Now, this is the starting price, of course. I mean, there may be a price reduction or adjustment or improvement, as they call reductions now, price improvements. But those will be handled on a different form in the future. For now, we're just putting our starting list price. Compensation to seller's broker, the important part. So keep in mind, this is a very, very important point because most agents now know since the NAR settlement that there is zero talk about buyer's broker or buyer's agent compensation on the listing agreement. There's no mention of it, zero. We're only talking about the listing broker. So we put in a nice 3% because that's what we deserve. Now, sometimes I see agents, especially agents that have been in the industry forever, they try to wedge a 5% or 6% here, thinking that it's the gross commission. Nope. Those days are long gone. Ancient history. This is only the seller's side. If you want to add a TC fee or a broker fee or pass on some of your costs, you can add on another flat fee. So it says 3% and maybe $500 for a TC fee. You can add that here if you want. I have another video on passing your costs to your client. And that's it. So that's the commission, the listing side commission exclusively. What's this? Now, sometimes I see agents try to use this as buyer's broker commission, which, as I said, is nowhere to be found on this form. It's gone. This is only for the listing brokerage. And this, and by the way, I've seen people use it for dual agency. They think, oh, well, this is if I'm a dual agent. No, it's not. It says it right here. It says it right there. This is for misfit buyers that insist on being unrepresented by anyone, an agent or even an attorney or some sort of professional that will guide them. Because if a buyer's unrepresented, they will consume more of your bandwidth. They will need hand-holding. I've seen it a million times. They will need hand-holding. And someone had the foresight to put this in here saying, hey, if you have to babysit an unrepresented buyer, if you have to hold their hand and guide them through this process, you should get paid a little something extra for that. That's what this is. This is the misfit buyer clause. You check this box, and this is if the buyer has no representative, not you representing the buyer. Your name cannot be on there to get paid. They must be unrepresented for you to get paid. You can't add your name on there. I've seen this. I've seen every mistake made regarding this. If you have any questions, leave a comment, by the way. I'm happy to answer. All right. Continuation. Now, this protects you because what if the listing agreement expires and the buyer that toured the home back when you were the listing agent decides to make an offer after expiration when you're not? Well, this protects you. This extends the period in which you can be compensated for your marketing efforts that brought that buyer even after expiration or cancellation of this form. So I like to put 90 days on here. You can be bold and put 180, but don't put less than 30. But put a number here, and whatever you do, don't leave it blank. If your seller is emerging from a breakup with their last agent and you're inheriting someone that has some sort of arrangement with their last broker, and you need to write that maybe there was some compensation owed or something, you can put it in here. Okay. That's when you have someone that you're inheriting from a past relationship that may have something that carries forward to your listing period. This is a new line. And let me tell you, sadly, this is important now. If you're a listing broker and you were referred that client, you should disclose that you're paying another brokerage a referral fee. What I don't like is, see this attached C.A.R form RAD? This form is garbage, okay? I did a video, a rant on the RAD form yesterday. Maybe it was too harsh, but because that form is just junk. I'm sorry, I'm not using that form. It is utter trash, okay? But this is important. I will show you what to do. Now, if you want to use the RAD form, be my guest, please. It's just simply my opinion. You're welcome to use it. I'm not. I'll show you what I'm doing, but you should check this box if you're paying a referral fee. Items included, excluded. Let me tell you something. If I were filling this out right now with a client, I wouldn't bother with any of this. I wouldn't. I would just scroll right past it. Wouldn't even think twice about it. I might have a conversation with my seller when I'm walking through their property or something and say, hey, well, first off, lease items, I want to know what's leased. But whether or not you put it on here is largely insignificant. Now, what goes on the RPA is very significant, so keep that in mind. But for included and excluded items, look, everything affixed to the premises is real property. And I usually touch on this when I'm talking to a seller. So I'll say, hey, is there something that is affixed to the premises that you want to take that I need to advise a buyer about, like a chandelier or a reverse osmosis system or an EV charging station? And you can write it in here. So this is kind of good because it reminds you to have that conversation with the seller. But am I going through and filling it out? No, I'm not. I'm already going to have a conversation when I become an expert on the property that I'm about to put for sale and charge a commission for. All right, and then I'm not bothering with this. I'm just being honest with you. As a broker, I've been licensed since 2002. I've sold countless properties. I'm telling you, I'm not fiddling with this. Now, if you want to go through it, be my guest. I'm just telling you. I told you we'd go through this fast. That's what we're doing. This right here is just complete nonsense. Okay? It really is. The fact that they put natural hazard disclosure on the listing agreement just shows you how little foresight was put into this and whoever drafted this. This form is negotiated on the purchase agreement. Why on earth are you talking about it in the listing agreement where you have it checked? I didn't check this box. It comes checked by default. Okay. So, by the way, this right here, this is so silly. I mean, I ignore it anyway, but you know the buyer love letters where it's like, hey, we've been looking in this community forever and we like to ride bicycles in the park next to this house. Can we please buy it? That's the cover letter that they put. And by default says, don't present these cover letters. Do not do it. Or you can check this box and say, no, it's okay. We do want to see the cover letter. It's like, come on, people. All right. But hey, look, every agent is their own independent contractor. You run your business how you like. I'm just telling you how I run mine. That's all. All right. And there's no single right way. Okay. I'm not saying my way is the right way. I'm just sharing with you how I do it. All right. Skipping this. Now, remember how I said the RAD form I don't like, I'm not using? Well, sadly, just this day and age, especially stemming from the C.A.R settlement, there's blood in the water. There are bottom feeders out there that want to squeeze C.A.R, squeeze large real estate companies with lawsuits regarding compensation that I think are just nonsense. Well, in the crosshairs of these bottom feeders is referral fee commissions, being transparent about any referral fee paid. So I know I'm talking maybe too much about this, but let me just be clear. Transparency about referral fees paid. So I check the box if I'm paying a referral fee to another brokerage. And I'm writing down here, and by the way, I'm doing a separate video all about this disclosure. Brokers paying a referral fee of 25% of gross compensation. More information available upon request. I'm doing this instead of the RAD form if I'm paying a referral fee. It's that simple. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I'm making a video all about disclosing referral fees. All right. We scroll through. We've done most of it. Okay. 21 pages, but it's a lot easier than it sounds when I say 21 pages. We go down. Entity seller. Is your seller a trust, a corporation, an LLC, something like that? Put the name of the entity here. Johnson Living Trust, 1989, something like that, okay? Or, ABC Homes. Who's the legally authorized signer? It must be an individual name, like the trustee, or Jane Doe, the person running the investment company. And then, so you identify the individual signing. Now that's just for entity sellers. If it's an individual, skip all that. If it's just Sally Seller, like what I have here, go ahead and write her name, have her sign, address, your info. Okay, and we're done with the listing agreement itself. The listing agreement itself is 7 pages. Now this gem, multiple listing service agreement. My gosh, I swear there's like a bonus paid to whoever drafts C.A.R forms to add more and more forms. It's just doing these tutorials over the years. It's crazy. And sometimes I come across like an old form, like 10 or 15 years old. And I'm like, what is this thing? Because it's so short, so succinct, so brief. I can't believe it's a C.A.R form compared to just the oceans of text that we go through now. All right, so this is all about the MLS. All right, we have our seller initial. And, the short of it, I should probably make a video on it because it's a long topic, but you can't, so generally speaking, you cannot opt out of the MLS. It's a more complex conversation than that, but that's, in general terms, you can't opt out of the MLS. And it becomes a very complex topic. But what am I doing if I'm filling this out? I'm just having my seller go through initial, sign at the bottom, and I'm moving on. That's what I'm doing. This is how I'm filling this out. What are we looking at now? Broker compensation advisory. By the way, C.A.R should have added a line for referral fee disclosure onto this. This is what they should have done instead of that garbage RAD form, but they wanted to do a PR stunt on that RAD form. PRBS, fine. There's disclosures, advisories, all sorts of documents meant to inform your client. That's great. Just have your client sign, and then in the case we're asked for your signature, you sign, and that's it. Like this, fair housing discrimination. Great. It's in there. We scroll through, it's 2 pages. Seller signs, we move on. Seller advisory. Okay, great. We're all good stuff. Is the seller going to read it? Probably not. But hey, we need to give this to them. All right, and they sign it. And we're almost done. We just have one more advisory about consumer privacy. Seller signs. We're done. That's it. That is the listing agreement. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Thank you for watching.